Hello, Internet, and welcome to Sony Centric, the Outer Haven's official PlayStation podcast. I'm your host, Jason Kwasnicki. I'm joined here today by my co-host, Mark Sullivan.
Hello.
And our Outer Haven compatriot, colleague, whatever you want to say, Cody Maynard. Jesus Christ. Cody Maynard.
How's it going?
It's going alright. I'm going to have to do some editing already.
Here we go now.
Over?
No, we don't need to start over.
Alright.
It adds to the flavor, Mark.
Alright.
So, some things going on this week. Actually, so first, folks, we're going to talk about this whole Call of Duty mess, because it's actually becoming a thing. Right now, the recently announced Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, that's going to be the next entry in the franchise, coming out this upcoming November. Right now, the trailer for that, the reveal trailer online on YouTube, has a little under 1 million dislikes. It's like 960,000, something like that. And
it's a lot.
Yeah,
And a lot more than the likes.
And on the other hand, DICE just announced Battlefield 1, which will be going before any time period the series is explored yet. It will be doing a quote-unquote alternate reality World War One, which I don't know. I don't get what the alternate reality is for. It looks pretty much just like World War One, and I think everybody here is pretty stoked for that. Much less, the general audience seems far happier with that choice than whatever Activision is doing with Call of Duty.
You know what I think it is? I think we need to stop having Call of Duties with the fucking word warfare in them.
True.
Too much warfare. We get it. We get it.
We had Modern Warfare, we had Advanced Warfare, now we got Infinite War. Nah, that's not the actual reason, but
there's too much goddamn war in Call of Duty.
Yeah, man. Why can't we have peace?
Pretty obvious, though, right? It's like a pretty obvious subtitle.
Yeah.
Right. I think what a lot of people are pissed about, though, is that, and at least this is what I garnered from the trailer, I can't tell the difference between this trailer and Advanced Warfare and, what was it, Ghosts, where you went into space? Even other games like Titanfall, it looks like Titanfall too.
Well, the difference is spaceships, dude. Like, now it's like full-on spaceships.
Yeah,
full-on sci-fi now. Is that really even still Call of Duty? Like, this is how far we've pushed, and that's like the problem I have with it. And I don't think that's the reason why it's getting a lot of dislikes. We'll get to that in a minute. But
there's another reason, yes.
And it's the reason I actually do think people are very against this game right now. But this doesn't even seem like Call of Duty anymore. Like, it hasn't really seemed to me like Call of Duty since Black Ops 2. And that might still be a little more grounded, but it's still pushed into the future. And now we've just gotten this overabundance of future games. Or future shooters. Does this still even quantify as a series that started in World War II?
Yeah, and I would argue a lot of it does have to do with aesthetic. Yes, we'll get to that reason that you're referring to in a second. I think people are getting tired, though, of this aesthetic that began with Modern Warfare. I mean, they're pretty much using a slightly modified version of the same engine from fucking the original Modern Warfare, and everything kind of looks the same. The color palette hasn't changed. When people were saying, oh, Call of Duty should go into space, I think they were imagining something more along the lines of, Starship Troopers or, I don't know, something different.
I would prefer some wacky, space shooter as a new IP as opposed to under the Call of Duty name. If I want to play Call of Duty, I kind of want something more grounded in reality.
Sure.
And that's not to say that Modern Warfare, which, we'll talk about that in a minute, and I love that game. That is a great game. And while it does have some just out of this world set pieces of, just crazy shit that happens, because, all those shooter campaigns do, it's still grounded on this is modern warfare. It's not something in the future. It's not something happening in space. It's not science fiction. It's still somewhat grounded in reality, and I think that's personally my problem with this.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, and Infinite Warfare looks really cool. I just think I would like it, and I'd be a lot more happy with it if it wasn't named Call of Duty.
Okay, fair enough. I think you and I can both agree, especially me as a history buff, I think you and I can both agree that going back into the past with Call of Duty would have been better than anything else.
Well, hell, I just want shooters to go back in time in general, because we have gotten, across the board, we've gotten an overabundance of future space shooters, and even right before that, we had an overabundance of modern shooters. We used to have an overabundance of World War II shooters, but that ended pretty much, I want to say, with
World at
Black
War?
Ops, I guess.
What about World at War?
World at War and World War II, but like Black Ops.
The Vietnam
during the Cold War and everything. That's like the last time we had a mainstream big shooter take place in the past, and I want to go back to that because it's been a long time since we've had that.
I agree. Well, me and Mark are talking a lot. Cody, what do you think?
Yeah, man, what's your shooter preferences?
I mean, you know what? Call of Duty has never really been my cup of tea. When you said, it's hard for me to tell the difference between, this one and some of the recent ones, it's so hard for me to tell the difference between a Call of Duty games. But, I've played Black Ops, I've played 3 and all the others, but it's never really been my thing. But I do, agree, first of all, I would love a Starship Troopers game.
Oh, dude, it's called Helldivers.
Oh, well, I mean,
I know exactly, dude. I love that.
Not a first-person shooter, but yeah, Helldivers for sure.
Dude, such a great game, man. But... yeah, I don't know. It's funny too. You're talking this. It's like going back to space. That was I feel like a lot of those games out with Gears of War and when all those were coming out. The big thing was Space Marine type stuff, and now going back to that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that was the trend starter.
Yeah.
And it hasn't really picked up. Too. Yeah, but it hasn't really picked up until the past few years, where Call of Duty's been pushing towards that, and now that's all we've gotten for a while. I feel.
Right.
The more realistic.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I want that to stay more grounded. And I was wrong, by the way. We did get a recent game that went back in time, and it wasn't really going back in time, but that was Wolfenstein.
That's like a weird alternate reality type deal, but I guess you can argue that.
Well, it's not even going back in time, because Wolfenstein has never pushed anywhere besides the time period that it's always taken place in,
Yeah.
I wanted to bring up that Wolfenstein does exist. It did come out in the past few years, and it's also amazing if you haven't played it.
Yeah, it's a very good shooter.
Oh, it was my game of the year 2014. It was.
Oh, was it?
Oh, yeah.
I never got around to that one. When it comes to shooters, I'm usually in... I love Borderlands.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Modern Warfare is getting a remaster. That's another thing that Activision announced. However, you can't buy it separately. You have to pay for a premium edition of Infinite Warfare for $80. I think is the lowest package you can purchase that comes with Modern Warfare.
And that's why I think people are doing this dislike campaign.
Yes, that's a more concrete issue. Overall, there's definitely a malaise with Call of Duty in general. I don't want this to sound like they don't sell much, because they sell, shit tons of copies.
They sell bonkers
every year. They're gonna sell.
But the trend
anyway.
But the trend is downward. They have sold less year over year for the past 5 years.
Here's the thing: when you can look at Ghosts, and that game did not sell nearly anywhere close to the numbers that they've put out in the games before it. But when you can still look at Ghosts, look at those sales number, and that was a commercial success. Doesn't matter what they put out; it's going to sell.
Yeah, no, and you know what? Infinite Warfare was going to sell too, but they want to try to buck that trend so it looks better on their financial reports. So they're going to attach Modern Warfare to it to try to artificially boost their sales.
Well, yeah, I think it's actually hurting them. I think people are going to wait to buy it before Modern Warfare Remastered is separate, and then they will maybe purchase Infinite Warfare. Well, the thing is, the same people are going to buy Infinite Warfare. Damn, no matter what.
Right.
It's people like you and I that don't really want it, but do want Modern Warfare Remastered. Why wouldn't they just put that out separately? They could.
Yeah, I hate the idea of packaging it with something else. You have to buy this to get this.
It's artificial. They're trying to boost their sales artificially.
I think it's gonna hurt them in the end, and I think that they could boost their sales by just keeping it separate. Keep it bundled in, but also sell it separately. I feel like they could make way better numbers that way.
You think they will?
I think they will. If they don't do it before it launches, I think they will very soon after, once they realize that, wow, our fans really want this, and they're not buying our game unless we do it.
Maybe.
It's so transparent. You know what I mean? That's what gets everybody. Such a transparent attempt to boost sales.
And then when they were asked, were they worried that people would play Modern Warfare more? They were like, "Oh, we don't care." Like, it was just kind of like a "fuck you" comment.
Boy.
Well, let's move on to some good news. Actually, let's just talk a little bit about Battlefield real quick. So,
Yeah.
World War I, what'd you guys think of that trailer?
I thought the trailer could have been way better had they not used that shitty acid remix version of
Yeah.
Seven Nation Army.
Yeah, Mark, I was
Like-
gonna say, is the alternate reality just like that really terrible versions of White Stripes covers?
Yeah, is
Like,
the alternate reality
reality
that
is
Jack White fought in World War One?
Oh, I love it. That's
Somehow the
hilarious.
White Stripes just were the fucking back then. No, come on. I feel like that trailer could have been taken way more seriously and could have been really, really good had they not done that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
And
pretty terrible.
Call of Duty did the same thing. They used that weird
yeah, that David Bowie.
version of the David Bowie
Yeah.
song, which could
Oh
be
my
taken
God.
as poor taste.
It was an
Given,
ass cover,
recent
dude.
events.
Right, yeah.
But I mean, God, Battlefield with the serious, especially with the serious subject matter, don't use that. Don't use that song.
Right.
They could have used something more orchestral or just something instrumental, and it would have been so much more.
Especially with the
interesting.
subject matter, because that's what I loved
Yeah.
about the old World War II games, like the Medal of... I fucking used to love Medal of Honor, and I loved those scores in the background, you know? And like you said, it was orchestral. It was, you got the trumpets. You feel like a hero, like a badass, running around through like the most... I mean, granted, it is quite a glorified conflict in modern times. Like,
Yeah.
shit did not go down like it goes down in Medal of Honor. But,
I think the whole difference is now marketing's a lot different. Using
Yeah.
licensed songs and stuff in your trailers is more widely, I guess, common. I just wish they had chosen not to do that. But other than that, I am very, very happy that Battlefield is going back in time. I personally really like the fact that they named it Battlefield 1.
yeah, I think it was clever.
I think it's gonna be confusing as hell, but I think it's clever as fuck. Because there's never been a Battlefield or Battlefield 1. It started with 1942.
Yeah.
So I personally really like that. And I'm interested to see how they handle World War One, solely because World War One, it was a lot of
It was a
trench
very
warfare.
yeah, and again, as a history buff, it's interesting. I really liked that in the stream that they held for the reveal, they put a lot of focus on melee combat, because you have to keep in mind at this time, almost just about every weapon that was carried by a soldier was bolt action. Like, there was no even the M1 Garand that we're so familiar with World War II, that had a Bangalore that could fire 8 rounds without having to reload. Like, nah, these fuckers had to fire a shot and then take the time to reload, then fire again. Obviously better than a muzzle loaded weapon, but obviously that leads to a lot more melee combat, bayoneted rifles, what's
the weapon that he's holding in the
Oh, it was like a mace. It's a
commercial
trench mace.
Okay.
Yeah, do you
And
think that'll be part of the that's one of the reasons for the alternate reality sort of thing, so that they can throw in some weaponry
Probably.
that's
Hey,
faster.
surprise! The M1 Garand existed 20, 30 years before it actually existed. Huh?
Or the pacing won't be there if they don't have automatic weapons or something.
Well, they did talk a lot about, bayonets and melee weapons, and they did say it would be an important part. I hope they hold up to that. But this is one of my hesitations about the games, just in terms of its, historical nature, but also, gameplay-wise, because I did see in the trailers, people carrying submachine guns, literally, the type of automatic weapons that would be mounted on, biplanes and such. Just carrying them and running through trenches with them. And I hope that doesn't happen, but, well, I guess they have to...
What'll be really interesting is to see how all this... I mean, Battlefield's always been primarily multiplayer before single player. So it'll be interesting to see how multiplayer works with, the time period and keeping it somewhat historically accurate.
Right.
I'm basically just agreeing with you. It'll be interesting to see how they handle all that, and if they keep to it, especially.
I am stoked that there are horses in there, though, and it looked like in the trailer, like, we got a glimpse of, like, Lawrence of Arabia, which was pretty dope.
We're gonna get so what, are we gonna get an Uncharted 3 Battlefield crossover?
Yeah.
Oh, look,
Speaking of Uncharted, that shit's coming out next week. Everybody excited?
Nah, not at all.
Okay, elephant in the room. I've never played Uncharted.
What?
What?
You're on a Sony show and you never played Uncharted?
I've never played it. So I was on 360
Banish the...
on last generation. So I mean, they have like the
Nathan
Drake collection,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, Nathan Drake collection. That's something I want to get before I do it.
All right, we're gonna have a Sony-centric book club. You're gonna have to pick that up. We're gonna have to, every 2 weeks, we'll give you 2 weeks for each game. Come back, we talk about it.
Nice.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
I'd like to do it. I'd like to get it. So
Mark is actually going to be reviewing Uncharted 4. He's excited.
Oh God.
Although I'll have it before him.
Yeah, man, sucks. But
That's
whatever.
why the one positive thing about always going physical and going to midnight releases, I have that shit as early as you can get it, and
Well,
I'm
I mean,
guaranteed to have it.
I went physical, but I got that Libertalian.
Yeah, but you order from like Amazon, they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna ship it, and oh yeah, and then they get raided by like fucking bandits who steal the Uncharted copies and put them on the
But I
streets.
get that, but Jason, that dank discount though.
Well,
That dank discount.
I'll be getting a discount when I trade in the Division because it's such a ass shitty game.
Oh shit.
But
you gotta love those midnight releases, though.
I do. I love the social atmosphere and all that.
Last one I went to was for Destiny, and I was terrified because I walked out of that store with the Ghost Edition,
Nice.
and those sold out, really fast, and a lot of people I knew and a lot of people in the line really wanted one, so I walked out with this big ass bag, and I think they all knew. I was like, my buddy actually drove me home. He's like, I don't want you to get jumped. I'm like, all right.
He's like, get in.
yo fool, what you got in the bag?
Yeah, man. I mean, another friend of mine bought the console, the limited edition Destiny console.
Yeah,
too,
those
so
things are nice
He got
looking.
a ride home too. Like we didn't want to get fucked up.
So this game, I think it's safe to say it's been getting a mildly positive reception.
Mildly positive.
shit tons of 100s. The lowest score is like an 80 on Metacritic, I believe.
Yeah, it's currently on Metacritic. It's sitting at a 94, which is just for context or comparison. The only one above it is obviously Uncharted 2 at a 96.
Yeah. And in terms of like other games, like Grand Theft Auto 5 has like a 97, and
Which is probably the most recent game to come out that has a score, I guess, that high.
yeah. So pretty
from your guys'
damn
opinion,
good.
I'm sorry, real quick.
Hmm.
Which one? So I'm gonna go get the Nathan Drake collection.
Yeah.
We're gonna go through this. Which one's your favorite and which one's your
3.
three's
Three.
favorite or least?
Jason,
3's favorite.
3's favorite. What's your least favorite, Jason?
1. I mean,
Yeah.
for me, pretty much the series just went up every time.
Gotcha.
2 would be my favorite. 1 being my least favorite.
And just a point
Unless
of...
you want to
oh.
count Golden Abyss. Golden Abyss would be my least favorite. But I don't have to necessarily count that.
I've only just 2 things. First, I just want to qualify that with I never played any of the handheld ones. Or I guess Golden Abyss was the only one that was handheld.
Well,
And-
there's also Fight for Fortune, but that doesn't count.
Yeah. And just another point of reference in terms of Metacritic, Last of Us, which is the best Naughty Dog game and possibly the best game of all time, has a 95 Metacritic.
Yeah, them some words, man.
The best game of all time.
Oh. We should.
I mean, that's a bit hyperbolic.
we could
but
do a whole episode about our. We should do that sometime, actually.
Best games of all time.
if you haven't noticed, folks, I'm a pretty I got a pretty big hard on for Naughty Dog. So.
Oh, I mean, so do I.
But
Yeah.
let's move on because the three of us have been playing. At least I know I've been playing a shit ton of Overwatch the past 4 days, whatever. Whenever it came out Wednesday,
Overwatch. What's that?
and I'm gonna continue to play it then take a break to watch Game of Thrones,
Oh.
and then continue to play it after Game of Thrones until I guess it's over tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow's the 9th.
No,
What time
it's,
tomorrow?
they
Does
extended
anybody
it. No, they extended it to the 10th.
Did they?
Yes, they did.
Well, too bad, because I'll be playing Uncharted 4. But, so,
But what's Overwatch? Let's talk.
what is Overwatch? We are Overwatch if you watch the trailer.
Oh, is that something they say? Is that the tagline?
Ooh,
Yeah.
Oh,
Although-
that's
al-
awful.
that's deep.
Yeah, I mean,
Real
that's...
meta.
If there's one criticism I have, just straight up going in, is that I have no idea what the fuck's going on. Like, why is there a giant monkey and an angel and some ninjas fighting each other? It's
So
like,
have you guys watched the videos? Because I haven't watched any of them.
no.
No, I haven't
Is
watched
there...
them
Wait,
either.
there are videos? There's like a lore behind this?
Yeah.
So, let's just do quick pros, cons. We'll start with you, Cody. Just, biggest cons, biggest pros.
Biggest cons. Dupes, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
That-
I think that's everybody's
We
complaint.
can
right
all
now.
disagree with that. Today, I
Yeah.
played a match. You guys know this, but for context for the audience, I played a match. There's this character a lot of people have been saying is OP called Bastion. He's a fucking like tank robot thing. My opposing team had 3 people playing as Bastion, and we got crushed in less than 5 minutes.
You were saying that. I haven't run into where there's like 3.
Oh,
I've
boy,
definitely
I
seen
have.
2.
I
Yeah,
had run into 2. Today I ran into 3, and I had it. I quit that match, and I waited for a different one. That's ridiculous. Dupes. I feel like dupes don't even make sense. Like I guess
Sure.
because there's so many different characters. There's what, like 20 some odd characters.
Yeah, there's,
to-
what,
to
4
choose
for...
from?
Or 16, right? 4 for 4 classes?
I think there's like 19.
I think
Right?
there.
Isn't there 5?
I don't know.
Like
there's
3
there's
of them.
there's more than 6, which is
Yeah.
how many players are on each
Right.
team. Like,
That's the bottom line.
dupes. They shouldn't be allowed to have dupes, especially like if I choose, say, Reaper, who's been one of my favorite characters so far. If I choose Reaper, someone else chooses Reaper. We have there, and on the side there are player tips saying, too few offense or no tanks, letting your team know like maybe somebody should switch to one of these roles so you have a more balanced team. I'm already Reaper. Someone decides they're gonna play Reaper, and he doesn't switch. Like I was here first, dude.
I think there should be some kind of like not rock, paper, scissors, shoot, but like if somebody else picks a dupe, right? So like you pick Reaper already, the next guy picks Reaper. As soon as that happens, there's like an RNG thing that just picks who can be
Or
them.
maybe base it off time played, because the game tracks that. The game
Maybe.
tracks time played with each character, and maybe even performance with that character.
But then that's
Like,
a little
based off of
unfair.
that.
Yeah,
That-
I would say
it
that would
could
probably
be a little unfair. Yeah, I guess maybe an RNG would be better. But the fact of the matter is, like dupes, especially with a character like Bastion, it's awful for the other team.
Yeah. No,
It's
I
totally unfair.
get.
Because especially on a payload map, payload is when one team is trying to escort something to the opposing team's side, and if they're standing near it or on it, it moves.
Yeah, like
So
3
you have
bastions can just
3 bastions
turret up.
sitting on
Yeah.
top of the friggin' thing. It's moving, and they're just aiming forward. Anybody that comes out, they just mow them down in less than a second. It's just not fair.
Yeah, and plus, like, speaking to a game that's putting a lot into, like, what we're talking about with the videos for each character and stuff like that, I think there's one for each. What I saw-
If there isn't, then there probably will be.
Yeah, what I saw was the videos that I saw were, like, centered on one character. So, this might be, like, a, minor thing, but even if it's such a lore-heavy game, why does it make sense to have, multiple...
Yeah, and that's another thing. And to be fair, TF2, allows dupes, but there's only not. I'm bringing up TF2 not only just for comparison's sake of how the games play, but the fact that they're seemingly doing this whole lore-heavy, back. You're right. Based off of lore, why do we have we shouldn't be allowing dupes?
No, alright. I think everybody agrees. Like, everybody I've talked to who play the game agrees, and you guys, our chats and with other Outer Haven folks, everybody agrees that, and it's not just dupes, it's also just overall class composition and such. Like, there needs to be some way to prevent scrubs from just coming in and being like, oh, there's already, we got we got somebody's Tracer, somebody's Reaper, and somebody's McCree. Hey, why don't I be fucking Soldier 76 or whatever? And like, now we have 4 offensive characters. You know, that kind of stuff too. Like we're all in agreement.
Yeah.
Dupes suck, and people are idiots when it comes to team composition.
Very true.
But let's like talk about some good stuff. So like, I'll start. I think, there are some balancing issues. Obviously, we were just talking about Bastion kind of being a little OP, and there's just some like little things like, for me, there's a little bit of movement. They can adjust movement speed maybe a little bit. Some of the ranges, like some of the explosion ranges, just outpace where you would like intuitively think they. Like for instance, Diva's self-destruct has a way farther range than the actual physical explosion, which kind of is weird. But like just
the visible wave of like
yeah.
I've killed myself with that a few times.
Yeah, exactly.
Why is that happening?
Exactly. So like there's very little like nitpicky balancing stuff like that, but for the most part the abilities are well implemented, and like once you learn them and get used to a character, like they can be really fun. I think they've done a good job with the maps of making them intuitive. Like most of the maps are fundamentally the same in terms of their structure, which makes it kind of easy to navigate, and even if you've never played on a map before. And I think the game just feels right. They really nailed it with controls and speed. I don't know, any other positives you want to lay out there from you guys?
I just like playing this game. And I'm sorry I keep bringing up this comparison, but I feel like it's very, very valid. Playing this game reminds me so much of the fantastic thing, because I loved F2 when it was just vanilla, and they didn't add all the hats and all the accessories and all the hats and all the hats. I'll just keep saying all the hats because they added so
hats.
many of those. Yeah, like
Dem dank hats.
This game reminds me of the golden days of that game, and a blast the past few days.
Cool. I would agree. I love TF2 probably just as much as you do.
Yeah, it's been a blast.
One thing I am a bit disappointed is that there doesn't really seem to be in Overwatch this kind of character. Like we had the Spy in TF2, which was definitely my favorite character, and it was such a
kind of like him.
What?
There's no character quite like the Spy, and this game.
Not that
true.
Not that there's necessarily a character just like the Spy. There's no character that doesn't necessarily fall into like a predefined class. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which obviously it makes sense for balancing purposes, but like it means that there's no specific character that you really gotta learn how to play, and it plays unlike anything else in the game.
That's true.
But I feel like
and just go.
Yeah.
I feel like that could simultaneously be disappointing and also just a fantastic thing, because it kind of makes it a lot more accessible all around for every player.
No.
Whereas I feel like with TF2, like playing as Spy, that's something you really need to take the time to learn.
Yeah.
If you want to be good at it.
But it's so fun when you do.
I don't know that I ever learned how to be good at Spy, to be honest. I definitely tried, but
I would say if there's a class where people are sort of hesitant to be healers or support, and I don't know if it's like such a thing where it's so intricate that people are don't know how to play it, but
it's not that
and shoot and
it's not that they're like, because playing as Mercy is like really fucking simple. You get a pistol and you get your staff that heals, and you can fly around, and you're pretty mobile, so you can't be hit that much. I just find playing support characters is pretty boring.
Right, yeah, and I think people are, they don't, I don't know, it's not that they don't understand the importance of it, but they're like, I know how to run and shoot, and I don't really want to learn to run and help.
Yeah. And it's funny because in these kinds of games, I'm usually a support kind of person. Like in Destiny, my main's a hunter, and I run Night Stalker, which is largely a support class. Your superpower is tethering your enemies in one place so that other people can go and attack them,
I'm glad you gave context behind that, because I would have no clue what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah, sorry for that weird reference.
No. I just thought I only ever play Titan.
But that's what I'm saying is like, but even though my main ability is that support ability, there's also some like really awesome attack abilities. Like I get all these different grenades, like smoke grenades that are venomous, and like I can turn invisible and all this other cool shit. Like it doesn't seem like there's any of that cool shit to do when you're a support character in this game.
A thankless job, but it's important.
Yeah, it is important.
So, Jason, who's your favorite character so far?
Yeah, so I wanted to end with this. So like we'll all go down and list our favorite and second favorite. So my favorite character is definitely McCree. I love, and again I'll make a Destiny reference. That's just because for the longest time my main in Destiny as a hunter was the gunslinger. With the last word, which was pretty much the same as Fan the Hammer for McCree. It's automatic revolver fire. So it feels
like I actually have.
It feels
the
very
last word
natural.
on Destiny.
What?
I feel like I actually have the last word on Destiny.
It used to be like one of the 2 best guns in the games, and then it got nerfed with the expansion.
Yeah.
But so it feels very natural to me, and I like how it relies on you flanking the enemy, throwing a flashbang, stunning them, pouring 6 bullets into them, and then retreating, coming back, doing the same thing. You know, it feels more, when I play as McCree, it feels more like a first-person shooter because it relies on map control and going through the flanks and the side corridors and such. You can't like stay out in the open with him. And then my second favorite would be Widow, just because I love sniping.
Yeah, Widowmaker's fun. I've enjoyed playing as her. Personally, I feel like my top 2 have been interchangeable. I don't really like one necessarily above the other. Those would be Genji and Reaper. I've been having a blast with Reaper since I started off with him. I've been like trying to get better with him, just teleporting behind enemies and then blasting them with my they're like shotgun pistols.
They're like
basically.
they're like old like the musket pistols.
Yeah, and they pack a goddamn punch. So just teleport behind people and blast them with that. You go into Wraith mode so I can maybe get away if there's still guys around. I've been having a lot of fun with that. Genji is just fucking cool. He's a goddamn ninja.
Yeah.
So I've been just like throwing shuriken for days, man. Been trying to get better with the with his blade lunge. Cause so far I've been terrible with that.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I both of those characters I've been really high on.
What about you, Cody?
For me, favorite character, D.Va, for sure. Last night I was playing D.Va, 13 matches. And yeah, I mean, that was the first character I chose, and then I went around and used all of them. But I like the first game I played, I got play of the game by doing the rocket boost, self-destruct, and just like throwing it in there and blowing up like 4 characters,
Nice.
Yeah, it felt good, and I was like, yeah, I like that. So I came back to that. But like I said, I've literally self-destructed with that a couple times and blown myself up in that sort of full
that sucks.
blaster. Yeah, and you're like, no. But she's good. I mean, and she's not like, you can't just go in and tank and just take all of the damage. You sort of got to use, I mean, this is probably same with every character, use the environment to your advantage, but there's a lot of she's slow. So there's a lot of using a wall to sort of guard yourself while you're, trying to get characters around it.
Yeah, same with McCree.
Yeah, and you got to kill her twice. Because once you get rid of the mech, you jump out, obviously, and she runs around pretty much just out in the open and a lot more vulnerable. But if you kind of get away for a minute, you'll build back up your ultimate and get back into the mech suit. So that's always good. Second favorite, Hanzo. Loving it.
Yeah, he's pretty dope.
Yeah. When you're doing a match where you're sort of taking the area and the other team's got 3 players in there, you just do that dragon.
Puff the magic dragon
Boom.
who can go through walls.
I was playing with a few friends the other night, and my one buddy he started playing as Hanzo, and then for the next 4 matches he got play of the game because of that.
Yeah,
and
all the time.
So because I watched him be baller with that bow and arrow.
Yeah, all the time.
I'm just looking at that I should try Hanzo.
It feels good. There's something about it that feels different than getting a headshot with Widowmaker or something. When you do the bow, you're like, yes.
It's
it just feels good.
It's like going back to TF2. It's like going from sniper to huntsman sniper, the bow and arrow. Like,
Yeah.
there's something way more satisfying about getting that
About
shot off
getting
with
a
the bow and
bow
arrow,
kill, yeah.
getting that kill. Yeah.
I actually find I found it's also a lot easier to hit shit with Hanzo, just to be frank, than Widowmaker.
Yeah, I would agree.
The
with
arrow
that too.
has like a bigger area. I might be wrong
There's no
about that.
scoping, right? There's no scope involved.
Yeah, that too.
Sort of get your vision wide range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, those are our favorite characters. Overall, we have our problems with it, but I think we can all say Overwatch is a pretty damn fun game.
Also, in beta and even though
Yeah.
it comes out soon, like, it's Blizzard. If they Blizzard responds well to fan feedback.
Yeah.
I have to imagine if a lot of fans have an issue with any of the things that we outlined, they're probably gonna fix them.
When
So
is
did
it
you guys
coming out again?
pre-order?
No, I didn't pre-order. I never pre-order.
Yeah, I didn't pre-order.
No, I
Waiting
have
for
not.
I mean, if there's an open beta, just I pre-order anyway.
When is this is coming out in August, right?
Oh, I don't know.
Fact check.
I thought it came out before that.
I'm on it. May 24th.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
whoops.
Boom.
So
So it's like right around the
Whoops.
It's pretty soon.
corner. It's like,
I thought it was. Oh, I must. See, this is how this show works.
Don't
I'm
worry-
wrong, and
don't
then
worry,
Mark corrects
Jason.
me.
As
I'm wondering what's
yeah,
coming
as
out in
always,
August that
I'm
you're
here to
thinking
correct
about.
Well, folks, this has been Sony Centric, where your host is always wrong, but your co-host always saves the day with the information that isn't required. If you like this video, please hit the like button at the bottom, and please subscribe to our channel, www.youtube.com/theouterhavennet, for more content. If you want a link to that, right there at the bottom of the screen, it will say subscribe here. Just click that shit, take you right to our homepage. Please leave some comments, tell us how we're doing. Do you like us? Do you just want to tell Mark to fuck himself? We want to talk with you guys. We want to know what you guys want. And if you guys would like to see any kind of specific conversation, it doesn't necessarily have to be news related, but kind of anything Sony related. Do you want us to have a show where we talk about our favorite Ratchet and Clank game? Do you want to see us have a show about, let's look back on the days of Spyro the Dragon?
Oh, that actually reminds me of the other Uncharted related thing I wanted to bring up.
What was that?
Just to let everybody know, the next week or two, we will be doing a special episode
Oh, yes,
talking about Uncharted 4.
That's the whole reason I brought up Uncharted in the first place. God
Yeah.
damn it. Thank you, Mark. Yes, this upcoming week, I'm going to be blazing through Uncharted, both
Same.
figuratively and literally. Mark will be reviewing it, so we're going to try to have a separate special episode, a spoiler cast, up sometime in between this episode and the next official episode of Sony Centric. We'll still have Sony Centric next week with, we'll be talking about the game non-spoilery, but we will have a separate spoiler cast.
And it will be flagged spoiler cast. You will know going into it that there will be spoilers. If you have a problem with any spoilers we say, you were warned beforehand. You have no reason to complain.
And for longtime viewers, we're going to be looking back at some predictions we made all the way in the very first inaugural episode of Sony Centric, in which
Bring it back.
Yeah, it was our predictions about how Uncharted 4 would end. So, it all comes full circle. If you've made the investment and been listening to us and been with us the whole way, it will pay off. Kind of like Uncharted 4 will be paying off, I hope.
If the podcast hasn't paid off up to now, it will.
Well, folks, this has been Sony Centric. I'm your host, Jason Kwasnicki. I was joined today by my co-host, as always, because he's the co-host, Mark Sullivan. And today we had Cody Maynard. I got his name right this time.
Yeah, there you go.
Good job. Thank you.
Mark.
What? What's up?
I'm supposed to say, Jesus Christ.
Oh, goodbye. Sorry. Goodbye. Later.
Peace out, Internet.
See ya.